Howdy, folks. Greyhawk 4x4 coming at you again, your resident vintage gamer, and it is Thursday Night Live gaming chat. And there's 0 people in here, so cheers to myself. Somebody popped in. Chupa, Bastille, somebody like that, Colin, Edward, Mistra, maybe. See who we got here. Got a bunch of stuff to talk about today, but wait till we get some more people in here. And meanwhile, I will have my delicious Newcastle Brown Ale. Let's do that. There we go. That way you can see the label. This isn't the same as it used to be. It's different now. It's brewed here as opposed to being brewed over in England and shipped over. They have an American brewer for over here now. So a little different. Still good, but it's not the same. So let's see here. I'll just go through the for the replay, folks watching this on the replay. I'll go through the menu items here that we're going to go over. We're going to talk about the Blizzard survival game that was announced, what little is known about it, and have some back and forth here about what everybody thinks about it. We'll talk about the Respawn announcement, that Respawn Entertainment or Respawn game. I think it's Respawn Entertainment, I think. Hello, Chupa. We'll talk about the Respawn announcement that they're going to make 3 new Star Wars games. We'll talk about the latest episode of Boba Fett. Sepulveda. Hey. Hola. We will talk about this. We'll talk about Nerovia, which was sent to me by one of our regulars here, Edward. Be careful about how I talk about that, because I'm sure that's not all for public knowledge, but we'll talk a little bit about that. He wanted a review of it, and I'll go into why I won't be doing a review immediately, but we'll get into that. We can even talk about a little bit about football based upon the playoffs that we just had. Holy shit balls, was last weekend a football weekend. My God. We can talk about the Steam sale that popped today. I forgot all about the fact there's a Lunar New Year Steam sale that they usually have, and so there's a whole bunch of shit on sale right now there. Got the new issue of PC Gamer. Hello, Bastille. Talking about Elden Ring. So we got a bunch of stuff to talk about. Looks like we got 3 people in here now. Outstanding. How is everybody? Everybody doing well? I am doing fantastic. Had the 30th anniversary with the wife, had that taken care of. Ended up being a little less epic than we had expected, because we had a snowstorm in the morning, so that kind of screwed up plans a little bit. But I still had a great day and all that, so that was fantastic. And yeah, everything's good here. So awesome, guys. Chup is doing good. Sepulveda is doing good. And I'm going to assume Bastille is doing well. I hope so. So we'll wait maybe a couple more minutes to see if anybody else joins in. And then if not, we'll just go ahead and dive into this stuff here. Is there anything else that you guys want to talk about that I did not mention on the little rundown of the menu here, what we're going to go over? If there's anything else you guys want to talk about, let me know. I'll pencil it in so we don't forget. Otherwise, we'll get started with this here in a little bit. So I hope I hope you're all in areas where the weather is decent and you're not. I hope you're not in the way of the bad the bad weather that's hitting the eastern seaboard. I heard that's supposed to be pretty bad. Bastille says I'm pulling rice out of my beard. The wife got me Asian food tonight. Yeah, the crumb catcher. Thanks, Bastille. The crumb catcher it absolutely is a crumb catcher. That is a fact. Yeah, I'll be sitting there watching TV and snacking on something, and you're eating away watching whatever it is you're watching, and all of a sudden you can just feel something kind of, you can feel it actually running down your beard, and you look down and you're like, oh yeah, well that's what that is, okay, and yeah, that happens more than you like to admit. So, okay, so looks like we got 4 people in here. We're gonna start on the list here of topics. So first thing, hello Edward. I was just showing this to people here. So we're going to talk about this in a minute. Bastille says, I hate the phantom smells, ketchup streaks. Yeah, that's one of the downsides of having a big beard, having a bushy long beard and everything. Yeah. So let's start down the list here. Let's start with the Blizzard survival game that was announced. It'll be the first new IP, intellectual property for Blizzard since Overwatch, I believe. So I wanted to find out, you guys can comment there and tell me how you feel about that. I think you all know my stance. I have vowed not to give Blizzard any of my money until Bobby Kotick is no longer with the company. Once he's gone, which supposedly is going to happen after the merger and the transition and everything, he's supposed to leave. When that happens, they can get some of my money. Until then, nah. It's just, for me, it's just a matter of principle for me at this point. I don't think he should be there. I think that it is completely illogical that he's still there. And so therefore, I'm just going to talk with my wallet. So now, let's say that Bobby Kotick stepped down tomorrow and they have this survival game. Let's speak hypothetically. Let's say that happens and they have this survival game. First of all, I have not played a lot of survival games because the way I understand it is, and now you can correct me if I'm wrong, with the like Valheim and Rust, and I always forget some. There's a whole bunch of them out there. There's Conan Exiles. I think that's a survival game. I like the idea because you build bases and settlements and stuff like that, and there's crafting and there's all these things, integral to a full, immersiveness. And the problem I see is, the way it sounds to me is that stuff's not permanent. Like, you do all that, and then like some other players can come and destroy your shit, and it only lasts for a certain amount of time for that particular session or whatever, and then you got to start all over again and all that. That type of gameplay has never appealed to me. Now, Team Fortress 2, you have a tiny little itty bitty amount of like base building where engineers can build turrets and shit like that and all that, and that stuff gets destroyed. But it's a much more fast paced type thing. There's not, you don't put a lot of effort and you don't invest a lot into building all that, those little bits of things that you can build, their dispensers and all that stuff. But my understanding is something like Valheim and some of these other survival games, and probably what this is going to be, is you can build entire like settlements, fortifications and all this, and put a lot of work in it, and then have it get fucking destroyed, and have to start from scratch again. And that to me, that just doesn't appeal to me. Now, let's say I tried it, maybe I would change my mind, but that initially does not appeal to me. Now, that's my take. If Bobby, let's say Bobby Kotick was gone, and I could feel comfortable giving Blizzard my money again, I would probably try that survival game, just because I do think that they'll probably do a decent job of it. Well, old Blizzard probably would. It's hard to say nowadays, but it would be worth giving it a shot, depending on what it costs and everything. What do you guys? Do you guys play survival games? Um, Chupa says Atlas was like that. People wreck your stuff. So for me, yeah, that's kind of frustrating. Like in Fallout 4, I can build settlements. That's a single player game. I can build settlements and I can spend time perfecting them. And I have, like, I guess I have OCD, whatever you want to call it, where I want to make everything perfect and I want to keep working on it. And the last thing I want is, and yes, they can get attacked by NPCs, but they are easily defended. And like they can't, like, literally destroy all their shit. They can't. They can take out some turrets and stuff like that, but they can't destroy all their shit. My understanding is in some of these games they can just, everything's gone. You just destroy everything. So that type of mechanic doesn't appeal to me, but I'd be interested to know how you guys feel about that. Number 2, Respawn. So Respawn, the makers of the Last Jedi game, which was like Fallen Order, was what it was called, which was a good game. I enjoyed it. Good game. Third person, I call that a third person action, though. Third person action game, not a first person shooter, not, but it's more along the lines of, Tomb Raider and that kind of gameplay. Third person action, jumping, parkour shit, and all that. But with lightsabers, that's what it was. So, but they have announced that they're doing 3 new games. One of them's a strategy game, and I've never been a strategy guy either. Something along the lines of XCOM. I've never tried XCOM. So one of them's like that, but one of them they're saying is a first-person shooter. Now, if it's a true first-person shooter, like I talked about in my last video, where I showed like Dark Forces and Jedi Knight and Jedi Academy and all that stuff, if it's along that line, I'm in 1000%. I will have it. I won't pre-order it, but I will get it when it comes out. Oh, I need to write that down. God of War. I got to check that, because I believe it still has good reviews and everything. So it may be time for me to pick that up, because I said I would give it some time before I picked it up, to make sure that it wasn't something that was having all kinds of bugs on PC, and it wasn't a bad port or anything. Sounds like it's pretty good. So it may be time for me to pick that one up. So, how do you guys feel about the Star Wars announcement? The Respawn 3 games coming out. And I'm pretty sure that the third one, so there's 3, I'm pretty sure the third one was going to be a sequel to Fallen Order. So you got that first-person shooter and a strategy one like XCOM. Bastille says, I loved XCOM. Yeah, it's just one of those things I never tried. I've never been able to get into real-time strategy games like StarCraft and stuff like that. I just don't have the whatever it is that to be good at it. I don't have it. If it is a turn-based strategy like Civilization and stuff like that, yeah, I played the shit out of Civilization and Alpha Centauri and all those, because you can pause the game, take your time, think about what you want to do and all that stuff. But real-time strategy, never been my thing. For those that weren't in here when I showed it earlier, I'm having a Newcastle brown ale. Delicious, but no longer brewed in this. The ones we get here in America are no longer brewed in England and shipped over. These are brewed here by I forget which brewery. I think it's Laguintas that brews it, and it's not the same. It's not as good. It's close in Laguintas. It's Laguintas. Yeah, that's where it's brewed. It's very close, but it's not quite the same. Edward Green says, I need to play the last PS4 Star Wars game. I have friends that enjoy it. I think that's Fallen Order. Edward, that's the one I played on PC. And that's a lot of fun. I did not finish it. I got stuck on a parkour section where you got to jump. There's all these animating like statues and stuff like that. And you got to jump on all these platforms and do all this stuff. And I got stuck there. So I have not finished it. But it was good. It was a fun game. Bastille says the first two XCOMs were turn-based. Okay. I did not know that. Thank you for educating me on that, because I thought they were all real-time strategy. So, okay. Next thing. Let's talk about the Book of Boba Fett, episode 5. Anybody in here afraid of spoilers? Do I, well, I don't know if there's any spoilers. Let me think about this. I'm trying to think if there's any actual spoilers. I think everybody knows that Mando, the Mandalorian, is in the Book of Boba Fett. So that's not a spoiler. And then everything that happened in there, I guess there's one spoiler, kind of. But it's not something that would be devastating or anything like that. Does anybody not want me? Speak up now. I'll wait a couple minutes. Speak up if you do not want me to talk about the Book of Boba Fett and go into detail and stuff like that, because it was an excellent episode and I want to talk about it. So, all right. Let's see what else. Oh, speaking of, while we're waiting to see if anybody's going to comment on that, I've never really asked you guys, because I always drink, beer and stuff. I do my beer 30, and it's obvious I'm a beer drinker and all that. Are any of you guys? So I got several of my regulars in here. Are any of you guys beer drinkers? Or if not beer drinkers, are any of you more like into the spirits or wine or whatnot? Or do you not drink at all? I'd be interested to get some insight, because I'm trying to find if basically literally nobody else is a beer drinker. I don't know why I'm doing the beer 30s and talking about the beer, and it's like I would hope to get some new subscribers at some point that do, because there's actually channels out there that are like beer and gaming. Like literally it's in the name. I can't remember them off the top of my head, but there's like literally beer and gaming channels where they drink beer and they game. And so if they're getting views and stuff for that, I thought at least there might be a few people that dig it, because I try not to overwhelm the talk, the dialogue about it. But let's see here. Chupa says, I like darker beer from time to time. I dig the beer 30s. Zapovita says, here in Monterrey, Mexico is a beer drinking city. Okay, so that leads me to a question there, Zapovita. In Monterrey, Mexico, what would you say is the most common beer? Like, what is the one that like most people drink on a daily basis? I'd be really interested to see what that's what's happening down. Is it like Corona? Is it like Pacifico? Is it Dos Equis? Is it Budweiser? Is it Bastille says no alcohol for me. I buy beer for my dad so that he can have a few during our visits. Understood. Does he like just regular beer, or is he like the craft brew stuff, Bastille? Or is he more like Budweiser, Coors, that kind of stuff? Tecate. Now, do they drink it down there? My dad, who would be like 92 or something like that if he was still alive, he used to drink his Tecate with lemon and salt. I have no idea if that's a thing. He used to put a little lemon juice and some salt on the rim of the can and drink it, or sometimes he'd pour it in a glass, put a little lemon in it, lemon juice, and a little salt. Of course, he put salt. His famous saying, my dad's famous saying was, he put lemon or salt on everything except bananas and coconuts. He literally put salt on everything else. Um, okay. Bastille says I get Russian import beer. It's called Baltica. Damn, I don't know if I've ever tried Baltica. I think I might have. There was a place called um Limon y Sal. That's right. So they do. So he was correct. My dad was right in doing that. Okay. I missed Jesse Thornton. Jesse Thornton said, I like scotch more, but I make beer for a living. Holy shit. You might be one of my favorite new subscribers there, Jesse. Well, maybe not new, but or new viewers or whatever. I've seen you here before, I think. Um, damn, he makes beer for a living. Nice. Baltica. I'm pretty sure I tried. There was a place called Crown City Brewery in Pasadena, California. Now, I'm from Southern California. We moved to Utah like 16 years ago or whatever. But I'm from Southern California, born and raised, lived in Pasadena for a long time. My dad had his smoke shop in Pasadena, and there was a place called Crown City Brewery there, and um, they had a I'll get to the comments here in a second. I want to get through this story real quick, and then I'll go back and read all the comments. They had one of the most interesting experiences for a microbrewery that I've ever and I'm 55 years old. I've been to a lot of them. I've been to them in Germany. I've been to them in Belgium. I've been, you name it. And uh, this place, when you walked in, there were file cabinets, like regular old metal file cabinets you see in an office building, and they were filled with passports. Now, what I'll do is I've got it tucked away. I've got my old passport put away. I'll have to dig it out. Um, they had so many beers that you could try at Crown City Brewery on tap and in the bottles, that they had passports for beers around the world, and they had it categorized by country. And if you got to 100 different beers marked off the pass, and the servers had to initial each one that you tried, and when you got to 100, you got like a T-shirt, you got your a plaque. They had a wall of little placards, and you got your name up on the wall, and all this. And so the file cabinets were for people like you'd go in there, you'd have 3 or 4 beers, maybe from 3 or 4 different ones from different places, or whatever. Get your card signed, your passport signed, and everything else. And then on your way out, it was alphabetized. You just put yours by your name, and they had it at the top there, you by your last name, and you just file it away in the file cabinet. And then when you came back, it was still there. And they had 2 or 3 file cabinets full of these things. That's how many people would come through there and would frequent the place. And I'm pretty sure that because I know I had a couple of Russian brews, because they had every country you could think of that makes beer, and I'm pretty sure that that's probably one of them. I'd be willing to bet that that's that Maltica is one of them. Now I can't swear to it, but I think it is. When I get my old passport out, I'll show it on maybe the next live or whatever if I remember. Um, and the food was incredible, and they're out of business. They lasted several years, about 10 years, I think. And then I don't remember why, but they're gone now. Um, that was heartbreaking. What a fun experience. Because you would just say, my wife's a designated driver. She doesn't drink. So she's automatically a designated driver. And we'd all go over there. She would drive. She loved the food. And we'd get our passports and we'd be like, oh, where am I drinking from today? Oh, I'm going to try one from China. I think I'll try one from Sweden and Argentina. Let's do those, and yeah, and sometimes they were kind of pricey because they were hard to get. Some of those beers were hard to get, but they'd be pricey, and you'd be like, you didn't care because it was like I gotta travel via beer, man, you know. And because the food was great too, and they had TVs everywhere to watch sports and stuff. God damn, that was a good place. Anyway, thank you for letting me tell that quick story. So that's where I think I know Baltica from. Let's see here. Jesse Thornton says Modelo, I guess. Modelo, I like the dark Modelo is the one I like. Jesse says I drop in when I can. Yeah, I've seen you a couple times. Thank you for coming by. Zapovita says it's a thing In the coast, you put salt and lime on seafood and a cold beer. Yeah, that was what my dad did, and if I remember correctly, he would have tecate. Now that you say it, he would have tecate when we would have tacos. We would have tacos, and he would have tecate specifically when we would have tacos. Um, and he loved, he loved hot stuff, so he put hot sauce on there and a cold beer with the lemon and salt. That was his thing, man. All right, so well, thank you. That's what I was looking for. I was looking for some dialogue about whether or not people were into beer or if it was just me, Okay, so now I didn't see anybody complain or say not to talk about the Book of Boba Fett. So here we go. I used to drink Tetley's English Ale. I've had that many times. Tetley's. I like all English ales. Very hard to get over here now, at least here in Utah. Love my English ales. Hobgoblin being my favorite. So Book of Boba Fett. So if you saw it, you already know. If you haven't seen it, basically it's another episode of The Mandalorian. So if you liked The Mandalorian and you haven't gotten into the Book of Boba Fett, regardless of what you think of the Book of Boba Fett, you will enjoy this episode because it's basically The Mandalorian. Boba Fett isn't even in this episode. Doesn't even show his face. You never even see him. So let's see. Suppose it says for hot weather, a cold lager. Yes, for hot weather, I'm having pilsners and lagers, and maybe like a Kolsch. Light colored, cold, ice cold. And then in the wintertime, I like my darker stuff. Edward Green says Laguintis from Chicago IPA is what I've been drinking for the last few years. So Edward, I have a problem with Laguintis brewery. Now tell me if you've tried the Laguintis, and I think or is it Laguinitas? I'm just gonna keep saying Laguintis. The brown sugar. They had a beer called Laguintis Brown Sugar, and they have it on the labeled as a brown ale. This is a brown ale. I'm glad I just happen to be drinking this. This is a brown ale. That Laguintis is not a brown ale. It's brown, but it was hoppy as hell. Brown ales aren't hoppy. And I got no problem with IPAs and double IPAs and triple IPAs and Arrogant Bastard that makes the strongest, hoppiest shit you can find. I got no problem with any of that stuff. But when they called brown sugar a brown ale, I had a problem with that. Now, I've probably tried some of their other stuff. I'm not an IPA guy. I'm not a hophead. But because I bought it thinking, oh, great, this is going to be a great brown ale. And it blew my head off because it smelled like a pine tree, like a Christmas tree. It had so much hops in it and everything. So that was my issue with them. They're the ones who brew this. So they know how to brew a brown ale. They brew this for Newcastle because we can't get the one from England now. So they have the rights to brew it here, and this is brewed by Laguintis. So anyway, to get off that tangent, back to the Book of Boba Fett. So the Mandalorian is in this 100%. It's all about him and what has happened to him. Edward Green says their little something something is a very good hazy IPA, but they are a little heavy. I haven't tried that one, but I think I can get that one at our I think they carry that one at our state liquor stores. Sepulveda says Heineken bought out the brewery that makes Tecate here in Monterey, so I think that's why it's been marketed in movies and TV shows lately. Ah, okay, that makes sense. Everybody's buying out everybody, so so the Mandalorian. Now I'm going to get into some spoilers here. Last chance. If anybody doesn't want any spoilers, because here it comes. We'll do a countdown here. We'll do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Spoilers incoming. So Mando he ends up getting into a duel. He has the dark saber. I'd forgotten he had the dark saber, but he uses it almost immediately in the episode. And then he ends up going to find the armorer, the Mandalorian armorer, and that other heavy weapons guy, who are him and those two are the only 3 Mandalorians left now. And they're hiding in this one city. And he basically says that, I have the dark saber now. And the other guy challenges him to a duel because he wants it, and it has to be won in combat. Mando, of course, wins, so he gets to keep the dark saber and everything. And then the armor asked, the whole thing about, have you ever taken off your helmet, blah, blah, blah. The heavy weapons guy's like, nope, never taken it off, never let anybody take it off, da, da, da. Then she asked Mando, have you ever taken off your helmet? And Mando has to say, he hesitates at first. She asks him again, and then he says, yes, I've taken it off. Because if you remember, he took it off at the ending of season 2 when Grogu was taken, by Luke Skywalker to say goodbye. He takes his helmet off, which he should not have done, according to the Mandalorian Creed. So he admits to the armor, yes, I've taken my helmet off. And she kicks him out. She says, that's it. You're no longer a Mandalorian. You took off your helmet. And then he says, well, there's got to be some way for me to repent, some way to, and she says, well, she sends him on a quest. He's got to go to some place that's supposedly inaccessible anymore. It's like it's been blocked, it's been destroyed, it's been something you can't get to it anymore. But nevertheless, he knows that's the only way he can get back to being a Mandalorian, and he goes off on the quest. But he has to get a ship first, and then the rest of the episode is about him getting his ship and all this other stuff. No Boba Fett in the whole damn thing. So the best episode of Book of Boba Fett so far hasn't had Boba Fett in it. It was all basically the Mandalorian. So it was a fantastic episode. It was, if you liked the Mandalorian, you will love this episode. So, did anybody else see it, or am I alone? It was also directed by Bryce Dallas Howard, and she directed a couple of the Mandalorians, and they were both excellent. So she's apparently a very good director, because she did this one and it was fantastic. So if we don't get any comments about that, Jesse saw it. True, best one yet. Yeah. So they've only got 2 episodes left to tie everything up for the Book of Boba Fett. So not sure what's going to happen here. At the end of this one, of course, Fennec is there, and she's recruiting him to help Boba Fett. And so obviously there's a war coming. They're getting him on their side and everything. So yeah, I'm digging it. I mean, I had some problems with some of the episodes, some of the things in some of the episodes, but as a whole, I'm enjoying it, because I'm a Star Wars nerd. So, okay. So now let's talk about this a little bit here. Edward here, who happens to be here. So Edward, I'm going to pause from time to time, because I want you to be able to step in and say, hey, let's not talk about that, because that's not for public knowledge, whatever. Because I want to be respectful of your work here. But I know you also want me to talk about it. So I'm trying to pick a balance here. So Edward here has written basically a homebrew campaign and a module. And also, by the way, Edward, if I say anything that's incorrect, please correct me, because I'm doing this all. A lot of this is supposition. So he has written this game. It's basically a game world based upon the old school essentials rule set, which is what we're using in our campaign right now. So I have a question here, Edward. Lead-filled Games, is that your company? Is that you guys? I'm assuming it must be. And There's 3 books that he sent me. He sent me the player's pamphlet. By the way, the artwork, I don't know how you got so much great artwork, dude. Okay. So you want to make sure. So that is you. Okay. I don't know how you got so much great artwork, but it's fantastic. This is the referee's pamphlet. And then there's the it says a dark medieval fantasy setting for OSR, which is the world. And then this is Tooth and Nail, which is like the adventure. It's like the module. I use the term module because I'm old school, and that's what we always called them. We called them modules. So, and there are some loose stuff in here. There's some maps and there's some counters, stuff like that. Now, the reason that I'm not giving it a full review yet is because we are playing in the world of Dalmanwood, using this rule set. We're using the Old School Essentials rule set, which is the same one this uses. And Jonathan, who is sometimes in here, is the DM. Now we're doing it all through Roll20 and everything. And in our Discord, my Discord server, which if you guys need it, if you don't have it, I can put it in here, the link to it. Jonathan's in there, and when Edward uploaded the PDFs, I asked him if he wanted to look at them and decide if he wanted to maybe use some of this in our campaign. And Edward said that was okay, because as long as Jonathan's going to give a review as well, and he may give that to me to give to you guys, or I might have him somehow, maybe we can do a dual thing, or he'll come over one day and he'll just be sitting here and we can do it together or something like that. But I don't want to read too much of it because I'm a player in the campaign right now. And if he's going to end up using some of this in the campaign, I don't want to spoil it for myself. So what I have done is I've skimmed through some of the rules, not the module. I haven't touched the module at all, but I've gone through some of this stuff, and I saw the additional classes. So it uses the classes from the OSE rule book, the OSE rule set, all the standard class. And then Edward has added in investigator, street urchin, and one other one that I can't remember. The additional class, if I had this before we started this campaign, there's no question in my mind that I would have rolled an investigator. No question. I would have. The idea of and what's funny is, Edward, if you remember from my I did a video of my campaign update. Our last session, we basically investigated 2 mysteries within the town of Brandonsford, where we're in, and I was basically kind of like the lead investigator, only because in real life, in my security career back in another life, at Universal Studios, I did a lot of investigations on the studio property, and so it kind of came naturally for me. And I would have absolutely played an investigator from the get-go if I had this when we started. So, and I may still see if Jonathan will let me. I may decide in character with my character Eintz to see if he can somehow either dual class as an investigator fighter or to switch over. So, all right, let's see here. Let me read up here. I want to make sure I get caught up here. Bastille says, I got a copy of Nerovia from the Discord. Thanks for posting it, Edward Green. Edward says, Keegan Hudspeth out of Kansas City is both the artist and graphic designer of the project. He did around 30 pieces. He used public domain to fill out the rest of the layout. Yeah, it's perfect. The pacing, like where you have like art laid out and everything. Whoever did the layout, if you did the layout is fantastic. Because there's art sprinkled throughout the whole thing, and I like, from what I've read, I like the simplicity of it. I love the dark medieval, tone, and everything. So I love the name Nerovia. That just sounds cool. So I can't wait to either play through some of this if Jonathan uses it, and if not, I'll be reading all of it. So let's see here. So that's all I'm going to say about that right now, because again, I don't want to spoil it for myself. But thanks again, Edward, for sending me all this stuff. And I'm assuming that on the back here you've got 49 out of 50. I'm guessing that there was a 50 print run of 50 of these, and I got the number 49. I'm assuming that's what that is. So anyway, thank you for that. There'll be more to come on that for absolute sure. Let's see. Need wet the whistle here real quick. May have to bust into a second beer here. Thirsty tonight. Okay. Now, I don't know how many of you Harsh Patankar, your Funko collection there. Yes, I have a few. I don't have like a lot of people do, where they have a whole shit ton. Like they have a whole wall. Yeah, we'll be speaking more about this, Edward. Maybe even offline. We'll talk a little bit more about this. So my Funko collection, maybe someday I will, like on a live, I'll get some of them over here, because I got ones that are special to me, that have a special meaning to me. But I'm not one of those people that has like a whole wall of them. I've got a few back there. But we can definitely go through that at some point too. Next topic that I wanted to talk about was football. Last weekend, epic playoff games. Now, I don't know if any of you also are football fans, but man, let's see here. Sepulveda says Nerovia can be translated to Spanish as the way or the path of Nero. Now that's interesting. Did you know that, Edward? Or did we both just learn something? That's kind of cool. So as you know, I've made it absolutely no secret that I can't stand Tom Brady. Now, when I say that, a lot of people freak out and say, "Oh, he's the greatest. He's the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time." Yes, he is the greatest quarterback that has ever played the game. I don't take that away from him. That doesn't change the fact that some of his Super Bowls that he has to his name were not earned. I don't believe that he earned them. And I can go into a lot of detail about that, but let's just say I'm going to say probably at least two of them he did not really earn. So let's see here. I do have a few in the print run that would sell. I basically a box set without for $30 ship. Okay, so you knew that, Ed. Okay, I didn't. I had no idea that Nerovia meant the way or the path of Nero. Okay. So Jesse says, "Oh, he is a cheat." Well, that has been established that there was cheating on the part of the Patriots and Tom Brady at a couple different points. And then in addition, there's the whole tuck rule game against the Raiders. And nobody is arguing that the call was wrong, that he fumbled the ball. That was the game that sent them to the Super Bowl. It would have been the Raiders that went to the Super Bowl. Had it been any other team, I still would have been pissed, because it was absolutely a fumble. It was not a pass. The referees said it was a pass, so it was an incomplete pass. It wasn't a fumble, because the Raiders recovered it, and they would have won the game. They only had a few seconds left on. They would have just kneeled down and they would have won the game. But he got the call because he was Tom fucking Brady. And that's part of the problem that I have. Anyway, so that's backstory as to why I don't care for him. Now, having said all that, the game with the Rams and Tampa Bay, where Tom Brady was playing, in modern times, it could mean Nero's highway. Oh, that's interesting too. You could use, in gaming parlance, you could use that a lot of different ways. So the game with Tampa Bay and the Rams, I'm watching it, right? I tuned in and it was like 27-13. It was the fourth quarter. It was like 27-13 or 27-3 or some crazy 27-10 or something like that. Now I'm going to show you guys something. Do I like outdoor football fields or indoor? I prefer outdoor on real grass, but I'm going to show you guys something. See this? That's a Los Angeles Rams mug. And you might say, well, you must have just got that, AJ. Wrong. Los Angeles Rams were in Los Angeles years and years ago. When I was a kid, they were in Los Angeles before they moved to St. Louis. And now they've moved back. This mug is from 1989. And this is porcelain. It's a beautiful mug. So, and it's actually a football helmet. When that game was going on and they were beating Tom Brady, I was so happy. I'm sitting here like this, like, oh yeah, come on Rams, you're doing it for me. You're as long as they get Tom Brady out of there so he doesn't go to another Super Bowl, I'm happy. And then if you guys were watching it, they fucking blew the lead incredibly bad. And so and everybody, all the commentators and everybody else say, oh yeah, Tom Brady this, Tom Brady that. Tom Brady didn't do a fucking thing. It was all missteps on the Rams' part. They fumbled. They missed the field goal that would have basically put the game out of reach. They missed the field goal. They fumbled. They couldn't make a first down. It wasn't Tom Brady. They put him in a position where all he had to do was make a couple passes and he could catch up with him. So, yes, he did do the final deed and catch up with him. But by God, they did everything they could to fucking lose that game. So then he catches up, and I'm screaming at my TV. I can't believe you guys gave up this fucking lead and everything else. And then somehow miraculously, in the last few seconds, they go down the field and win the goddamn game. I was a goddamn madman in this place. Y'all would have, if this would have been on video, I would have been viral for sure because I was a fucking lunatic about this. But bottom line was, Tom Brady got knocked out. He's not going to another Super Bowl. I'm a happy guy. Even though my Raiders didn't go, as long as Tom Brady ain't going to another Super Bowl, I'm a happy guy. Cheers on that. And then you had the Kansas City game, which was fucking bananas too. My God, what a weekend for football. I mean, it was incredible. So anyway, I had to get that off my chest. But yes, I will keep this safe. Somebody said keep that safe. Yes. This is a definite collector's. Well, this is Los Angeles Raiders back because they were Oakland. Then they went to Los Angeles when I got this hat, and then they're back in went back to Oakland. Now they're in Las Vegas, and that's my little football angel right there. You can't tell, but that's basically a little angel carrying a football. And this was given to me by my buddy's first wife who passed away. She died from cancer. And she gave me one and she gave him one. And whenever we watch football, we always have our little football angels with us rooting for us, So anyway, that's a little thing you probably didn't care about, but so anyway, that was the football thing I wanted to talk about. Yeah, the 49ers and Green Bay, another great game. But now, and I'm glad that the 49ers won. I want to see somebody different. I was actually hoping that the Bills would beat the Chiefs. I actually wanted to see the Bills go to the Super Bowl because I'm old enough to remember the poor Bills went to 4 straight Super Bowls and lost all 4. Those poor bastards went 4 times in a row and lost all 4 of them. Yeah. Sepulveda, I'm an Oilers fan. There's a throwback. I didn't know you were that old, Sepulveda. Yeah. So Sepulveda, are you old enough to remember Earl Campbell? One of the toughest running backs I ever saw in my life. That dude was a freaking tank. If you're old enough to remember him, put it down there because I got a quick story to tell you about him. So anyway, that was the football stuff I wanted to talk about. A couple last things to tie this. We're at 50. We got 10 minutes left. Steam sales going on. Don't forget that the Lunar New Year Steam sale. So because I get a text and it said I had uh like 25 games on my wish list that are on sale. And I'm like, oh shit, there must be a Steam sale. And it turned out to be this Lunar New Year thing. So was it Horizon Zero Dawn is on sale for 50% off? I got to get it this time, I think. I might get that and God of War. I'm thinking because the next Horizon game is gone gold. So, so Povita says the Tyler Rose. Now that is something I don't recognize. I don't know what that means. The Tyler Rose, but Earl Campbell, Shoroten. Hello from Denmark. Did you ever complete the game Punch Out on Nintendo? I played it, never completed it, but played the shit out of it over in Germany on my buddy's Nintendo. Yeah, hey, Sheraton. Hang on a second. Hey, Sheraton, I got something to show you. Just give me a second. I got something that might blow your mind. Anyway, Sheraton, I was trying to show you up there. I have an empty can of Tuborg I think you guys could say Ulibrig or something like that. It's Tuborg Ulibeer, the Christmas Tuborg, because I have a lot of friends, very close friends from Denmark, and they used to bring us the Tuborg Ulibeer. That's what I had up there, but I couldn't. I was trying to get it with that grasper, and it fell back behind there, so I wasn't able to grab it. I was going to show it to you. The blue can with the snow and everything on it. So it's one of my favorite beers in the whole world. That Tuborg, but you can only get it at Christmas time. Let's see here. Zapovita says Earl Campbell is called the Tyler Rose. I never heard him called that, but I believe you. Anyway, he is now, I don't know if you know it, but he is now selling, he has a sausage company in Texas where he makes like spicy sausage that like hot links and stuff like that he sells, and they're very popular in any store in Texas, any grocery store you go to, you can buy Earl Campbell's hot links. So I didn't know. Let's see here. I've seen a friend beat Tyson but never completed the game. Great game though. Yeah, I think I made it maybe halfway through. I never made it. No, I don't think I made it close to Tyson, but my buddy made it to Tyson, but he could never beat Tyson. So I did see him make it to him, but never beat it. Harsh Patankar says Resident Evil 4 was a different level. I played the first Resident Evil, but I never finished it. I know a lot of people are really passionate about Resident Evil games, though. Earl is from Tyler. Oh, that's why. Okay. The Tyler Rose. Okay. Now I get yes. I've been to Tyler, Texas. I used to live in Texas, so I've been to Tyler several times. Sharon says, Tuborg Yule beer or Christmas beer. So yes. So that's one of my favorite beers. And I wanted to show you the can, but unfortunately I knocked it back there. So Povita says like Jimmy Dean sauce. Yeah, basically, but they're just the hot links, you know. Sharon says, oh yeah, I could never beat Tyson. My friend got me to his level and I never won. Yeah, I never made it to Tyson, but my buddy did, but he couldn't beat him. So, wow, we got some new people, and I don't remember seeing Harsh in here and Sheraton. So welcome if you guys are new. I don't think I've seen you guys in here before. Glad you guys could make it. Yeah, I gotta open up I gotta open up beer number 2. This one is one of my favorite, just regular daily drinkers here. Longboard Lager from the Kona Brewing Company. Delicious beer. All right. Bastille says, I was born in El Paso at Fort Bliss. I can't remember, Bastille, if I told you the story about that when I went to Fort Bliss, Texas in the Army. Harsh says, here in Russia, beer are cheaper than water. I believe you, Harsh, because I just saw and I can't link it here, unfortunately, but I saw a picture of the town I was in Germany, their beer prices for a rack, because for Americans, don't they get it in plastic racks. They come in plastic racks. They're called a rack of beer, and there's like 20 bottles. And these were like 20 half liters or liters or something like that. And it was like 16 euro for like 20 big beers, you know. Yeah, like half liter or liter. I can't remember what size it was. And it was like 16 euro, which would be like, no, it wasn't. It was 14.99 euro, which would be like 16, $17. For where shit, a 12 pack of this right here, 12 of these, that's $15 right there. And this is good. We're talking good German beer, not your, basic shit, Sure. And I don't think I ever been in here before either. Enjoyed it. I was former Nintendo Commander 64 and Amiga 500 player. I have a Commodore 64, Sheraton, that still works right over there. One day maybe I'll use my phone and I'll take some video of it. I've got it still set up. Got the Commodore monitor. Got 2 of the old floppy drives. Still, it all works. Still got it. Let's see here. Earl Campbell is a loved personality in Texas. Using his name to market food is an obvious move. Yeah. But it's his company, if I remember correctly. When we were there, it was, so he's the one benefiting. It's not like they're using his name, but I think it's his company too. But he's crippled. Like the abuse he took as a player. I mean, anybody, if you never saw Earl Campbell, if that name doesn't mean, if you never saw, you can go on YouTube and watch Earl Campbell highlight reels on YouTube of that dude. Was a punishing running back. I wouldn't want to be a guy trying to tackle that dude. Hell no. Can you compare Earl Campbell to Jerome Bettis? Yes, that's a very good comparison. I would say that you had that Earl Campbell was like Jerome Bettis, but he had more maneuverability. He could actually juke people, and he could make them cross over, break their ankles. He could, whatever. Jerome Bettis couldn't do that. Jerome Bettis was a straight downhill runner, like just straight line, bust through people, shit like that. Earl Campbell could do the same damn thing, but he also had some finesse. So he was better in my opinion. Sheraton says Commodore 64 is made to last forever. Try buying a PC or gaming console that can last 30, 40 years. Exactly. Yeah, you can't. Harsh says no way. I'm guessing you're saying no way that the fact that I've got one still hooked up. I got my Intellivision and my Sega Genesis over here too. Those both work and they're both hooked up too. So Boba says thought the same about Earl's dexterity. Yep. One of the best. Walter Payton is, in my opinion, still the greatest running back that I ever saw. But Earl Campbell, Sanders, what was Sanders' first name? I can't think of it. I want to say Deion Sanders, not Deion Sanders. Barry Sanders. Jerome Bettis. I mean, the name, it goes on and on, but I still say Walter Payton was the best. But okay, so yeah, so here's the what the longboard. It's just a like a Pilsner lager. So, but if you haven't, they make 2 or 3 different beers, and this Kona Brewing, they're actually really good. So Oh, I thought it was Colonel Sanders. Hey, I've had my share of Colonel Sanders too. It's not as good as it used to be, but all right. We're at an hour here, guys. I'm trying to think. Oh, last thing I want to talk about, God of War, real quick. I think I'm going to pick up God of War. Has anybody tried God of War on PC? If you have, please comment down below and let me know. Because uh, I think it's been getting really good reviews and it's a good port. So I think I'm going to pick it up because I never tried it on console. So Boba says, saw an 85 Bears game on YouTube last week. Sweetness. 34 was amazing. Yep, he was, as far as I'm concerned, he's the best running back I ever saw. Only because he could do everything Earl Campbell could do. And if you remember, I don't know if they showed it in that one, he threw several touchdown passes. He could throw passes. They would dish it off to him and then he would throw it as for a touchdown to somebody. The dude was, he was off the charts. Now, Bo Jackson, if Bo Jackson hadn't gotten hurt, Bo Jackson would have been the greatest running back of all time. There's no question about it. Bo Jackson's the greatest athlete I've ever seen. Now, if you don't know who Bo Jackson is, just go watch a Bo Jackson highlight reel because Bo Jackson was an all-star in baseball, professional baseball, and he was a Pro Bowler in professional football. He was the only Deion Sanders did it later, but I don't think he ever was at the same level. Bo Jackson was a true two-sport superstar. And if you want to see the greatest athlete that ever lived, Bo Jackson. He's still alive, but he can't play. He fucked up his hip. The guy twisted his leg like a chicken bone and basically ruined his career. That was bad. He was on the Raiders, and it's got nothing to do with the fact he played for the Raiders. He could have played for anybody, and he would have. Yeah, you'd say that. You just go watch his highlight reel. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, he only played for like, I don't know, 2 or 3 years in the pros until he got hurt. So he continued to play baseball for a while though. He just couldn't play football anymore. All right, guys. Well, we're at an hour. It's time to call it quits. I could go keep going, but I got to go have dinner with the wife. I can smell her cooking it right now, and I don't want it to be too cold when I get up there. So, any last minute questions? Any last minute comments before I shut this thing down? I do my lives on Thursdays and Sundays. I always do my lives Thursdays, Sundays, and then if you look down below on the description on any of my videos, I have the rest of my filming schedule there. And then if there's additional videos like Let's Play videos or whatever, I put those in between. So please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. It helps me because I want to get monetized at some point. And I do have a merch link down there to buy t-shirts if you guys want to buy t-shirts. The Microsoft one will go away at some point. Last question. Do you know any Danish words? I just remember that when you leave the room, like you leave to go somewhere, like you're at a party or something, you're going to leave. I remember you say hi to everybody. That's goodbye. You say hi. I know that. Let's see. I know the drink Gammeldansk, the liquor Gammeldansk. I believe that's Danish. Aquavit, that's Danish. I think. I'm not sure. I'm trying to think of what other Danish words I know. Not a whole lot, because all the Danish people I know all speak fluent English. So it wasn't like I got a chance to really like try and learn. Hi or farvel. I didn't know farvel. I didn't know that, but yeah. So yeah, ciao guys. Hi and Wiedersehen and tschüss and sayonara and adios. And we will catch you guys on the flip side.